Okay, so now we are ready to create our post to session function. Open functions.php file, scroll right to the bottom, and after our redirect function, create a new one called post to session. And we will be passing one parameter to this function called parts, and we'll assign an empty array to it by default. Okay, now we'll create another array called out, which will store all of the keys of the checkboxes which are on the second page. And now that we have all this done, we are ready to start looping through our post. So for each post as key equals value. Let me scroll down a little bit. Okay, inside of this loop, first of all, we're going to filter our value. So value equals, and now if value is array, then simply pass value, which means assign value to value basically. Otherwise, trim the value, trim the string which is assigned to the value to remove any white space at the end. Now we are creating a variable, and we're using the function explode, and we will explode our key using the hash symbol. Now what we're doing here, explode function basically divides whatever we pass to this function with the specific symbol which we pass in as the first parameter. So let's say we have name hash ID, then we're going to create this explode function will create an array which will have name as the first item in the array, and the ID will be a second item in the array. Depending on how many hashes you have, that many items of the array will be created. And this will be using this particularly for our checkboxes basically, because each checkbox will have the name of the field, hash, and then ID of the field. But we'll get to this obviously in the following videos. But let's just create this function for now, and you'll understand this later on once we are when we are working on these checkboxes. So if in array, and now we're checking if the par 0, because obviously this is now becoming an array. If we have the par 0, which is the first value, which will be obviously the name of the parameter, is inside of the array parts, because this is where we're indicating which ones are basically multiple select, which will be our checkboxes. So if the name is in this array, then what we want to do, we want to put this specific value with its key to our out array. Else, if it's just a normal field like a text field, drop down menu, radio button, then simply create a session which will have a key as the name, our name as a key, and value assigned to it. Okay, so this is the first loop inside of this function. Now we are going to check if our out array is an empty. And if it isn't, we are going to do another for each loop. This time we'll take our sessions as key equals value. And what we are basically going to be doing here is remove all of the sessions which names are inside of this array. Let's say on a second screen we will be doing with the interest, and we will pass the value of the interest to this array. So obviously all of the sessions with the interest will be removed, and we will replace them with the new ones which have just been submitted. So first of all, we do exactly the same thing as before. We create a variable par, which will become an array because we are assigning the explode function to it. explode. Again, we're using the same divider, and we're using our key from the session. So now we've created the array, and if in array, again, par 0, and it's in array part, and we check if the key doesn't exist in the array out, because obviously if it does, then just simply leave it. But if it doesn't, remove all of these ones which are not included in our out array, which is a new call, new post. So array key exists, and now we pass our key and our array, which is out. So now after this curly braces, and if this condition has been met, then we need to unset the session. Oh, come on. Session, obviously the specific key. And this way we've removed all of the sessions, let's say, of the value interest, which has name of the interest from our array. Only these ones which haven't been submitted again through the form. So this is this for each loop. Now we need to create another for each loop, and this time we're going to be looping through our out array as key equals value. And what we're going to do, we're simply going to create the new sessions. Session with the key equals value. So all these new posts will now be converted into the sessions. Now this is if out array isn't empty. But what happens if it is? Else, obviously what's happening now is we need to remove all of the sessions with this specific name sent through this parameter. So what we're going to do? Well, we're going to do another for each loop, and now we're going to go session as key equals value, and inside of this loop, again the same thing, par equals explode, same symbol, and a key. We're exploding a key from the session. Okay, so if in array parameter 0 inside of the array parts, which has been sent to this function, then unset session key, and that's it. So this is basically, if I send the parameter, let's say interest, to this function, all of the sessions with the interest name will be removed completely from the session array. So that's how we're going to get rid of all of them. And believe it or not, but this function is now finished. So let's move to the next video, and we're going to move to the second step of our application.